Hello, Mr. Berger. Thanks for coming in for the interview today. Really do appreciate you stopping in, very much so. Um, so I got a couple of questions for you that we're going to go through today. I've got a number of other people I need to interview, so we're going to try to keep this quick and short. All right, Mr. Berger, could you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm a very hard worker and I have a very good work ethic. I like having my task laid out and planned out so I can get it done with effectiveness and swiftness. I'm a very self-aware worker and I can tell what I like to do and when I like to do it when I am learning and becoming better.
What do you do for fun?
What I do for fun, I like to work with metals and build things.
Mm-hmm.
So me learning from the best would be amazing and an engaging experience.
Okay.
I love.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's fine. I love building things on my own and becoming more independent and self-supplied.
Well, tell me what you'd like about this particular job.
Well, I would really like this job because I would be able to learn new and useful things in the metals industry. I've read through lots of different apprenticeships, and I have found this one to be the most appealing.
Great. I appreciate that. So why exactly would you like to work for this particular company?
Because I would be learning new and useful things in the metals industry. I have read lots of different apprenticeships, and I found this one to be the most appealing.
Great. So tell me then, what is your major strengths that you have, and go ahead and explain those to me, please.
Well, I'm very effective at being able to work independently and effectively on tasks that are assigned to me. I've always loved learning hands-on, and I know that I work better by being by myself, and branching out time to time helps.
What do you mean about branching out time to time helps? What do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is that if I am stuck on a question or a problem, I'll usually branch out to my superiors or peers to help me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Great. Um, this is always a hard question, but it tells a lot about a person. Could you tell me what your major weaknesses might be, if you have any? Because we all do, right?
hmm I can easily be distracted, but I overcome this weakness by working independently. I often don't like being in the presence of a procrastinator, but I also know that I can be a very focused person when it comes to completing a task.
Okay. About that last question, you said you don't like being in, having to deal with procrastinators. So what do you do when you have to deal with procrastinators?
Well,
I mean, if the procrastinator is in your presence, what do you do?
I'll usually work around them or work with them to the best of my abilities.
Okay, great. Um, what kind of boss would you like to work for, and why?
I like a boss that is fun to be around and can be a good friend and someone you can trust. I think this is the best way because I have had the best experience with these types of bosses.
Um, Tell me more about the boss, though. I mean, I that's a great answer, but I need more as far as type of bosses you like to work for.
Well, I find this one to be the best type of boss because after past experiences, I've always learned the most after having this type of boss, if that explains the question.
Uh, Kind of. I mean, do you like a boss that is hands-on, or do you like a boss
Yes,
that is a micromanager, or one that gives you tasks? Kind of explain that.
all the topics that you just listed there, all the personalities. I like those type of bosses.
You like a micromanager?
I don't mind a micromanager.
Okay, great. Um, let's see. What else do we got for you today? What would your previous employers? So if I was able to talk to some of your previous employers, and as I understand, this is your first job. So if I actually talked to your teachers or your coaches, what would they say about you?
I'm a very hard worker and I have a very good work ethic. I like having my task laid out and planned out so that I can get it done with effectiveness and
Okay, so I know that this is your first job. So if I were to, talk to your teachers or your coaches, what would they say about you?
good things. They would say that I work very well on my own and can grasp topics that relate to the task at hand very fast and easily.
How about your coaches specifically?
Well, coaches, I didn't really have much because I didn't really do that many sports. I did cross country and track, but that's about it. They would tell you that I am determined to get my task done.
So with your coaches, would they say you're a go-getter, hard
Yes.
worker? You push through the pain, I guess. They'd say that.
They would.
Cool. All right. You don't have very much experience for this particular type of job. So how do I know that you're going to do a good job as a metal worker or forger or whatever I have you do within the shop?
I have many examples of me getting my work done fast and effectively, ranging from different essays and on my blacksmithing projects. I know that I can get a job done no matter how hard it is if I just put my mind to it.
What type of blacksmithing projects have you done on your own?
Well, type of blacksmithing projects that I've done is that I've made 2 different foundries, one of which was not the most successful, but I was able to take apart that one and then use it to make my new foundry, which is a lot better, in my opinion, and it can melt copper and aluminum.
Awesome. That totally makes sense. Great. So you had your first one and it didn't work out very well, so you took it apart and made a better one.
I adapted and overcame.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so what are your what type of ideas do you have for salary, and how much would you like me to pay you for this particular internship?
I'd be flattered if I got paid, but I don't really need to be paid. The only type of payment I would need is just to acquire knowledge and better understand the job at hand.
Oh, that's great. I like people who don't want to get paid. I do appreciate that, but nobody should have to work for free. You will get a small salary, so I do appreciate your willingness to work for free and just get experience, but appreciate that. Okay, so what do you think it takes to be successful in this particular job? So again, metalworking, blacksmithing, cleaning, working in the shop. What do you think it will take for you to be successful in this job?
Well, I think being a hard worker and determined to get the job done. Also, you can't be afraid to get your hands dirty. So being able to overcome obstacles and other hard challenges.
Perfect. Yeah. You're going to get your hands dirty here because, of course, it's the shop and we got all kinds of junk laying around, and it can be a dangerous place as well.
Yes.
Okay, so awesome. Which of your high school accomplishments are you most proud of? So what did you do in high school that you're like, man, I killed at this, and you're most proud of? And explain it to me.
One of the things that I'm most proud of is what I built through middle school to high school is this thing called the drill car, which was a car that ran off the power of a drill.
Mm-hmm.
Used a worm gear to drive an axle that powered the car. But it was all powered by a singular drill, thus the name is called drill car. And it took a lot of hard work and blood, sweat, and tears to basically build that thing.
You used a term called a worm. What?
A worm gear.
What's that?
It is where you have a gear that's driving another gear, but it's a worm gear because it spins and it kind of just inches its way along, thus it being called a worm gear because it's very slow.
Oh, cool. All right. Thanks. I get that now. What classes did you like most in high school, and why did you like those particular classes?
I loved being in the fabrication laboratory in middle school. I can still go there during high school in my prowl, which is one of my favorite classes because I can do whatever I want in that class, being homework or going to the fabrication laboratory to work. Or going to metals.
What's prowl?
Prowl is like a free time, basically.
Oh, okay.
We get 45 minutes to do whatever we want, being anything in the school, that is.
And you like to take that free time and go where?
To the fabrication laboratory, where I built drill car, and going to the metals is also where I built drill car.
Huh. Great. That's great. I didn't know that. That's a excellent add-on to your qualifications. Great. Are you taking any additional classes right now in school, or will you be taking any that relate to metal work and stuff like that? Anything coming up?
I will be going into somewhat like an apprenticeship, but I'll be a TA for my teacher in the fabrication laboratory, and being under his watch and learning from him for second semester.
Oh, that's great. So you'll bring more skills to it. That's super awesome. You kind of already covered this just a little bit, but what are you've touched on it, but could you go ahead and revisit them again? What are your qualifications for this job?
The only qualifications that are needed is being a good worker, determined to get the job done, and having a good attitude. I believe this is because these demonstrate the best personalities, in my opinion, and I feel that this is what's needed to be.
Sorry, that's my phone.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay, go ahead.
I feel that these are the good traits to getting a job done effectively.
Super. Those are general traits. I get that, but specifically, what other qualifications do you have that would make you good for this? And these are specific.
Well, I believe that I demonstrate being a good worker, and
No, I don't want your personal skills. I want your actual things you've done that would make you qualified for this job. For example, like that drill car thing. Like, what else have you done besides that?
I put together a coal forge in the backyard by myself, where I piled up bricks and had to level out the ground to figure out the best possible way to get the correct amount of airflow to heat the forge.
Okay, that's pretty neat. What else? What did you make out of that one? What did you make out of that coal forge? Make with the coal forge, I'm sorry.
It's fine. I've made a multitude of different things, ranging from weapons to helmets and armor.
Huh. Is that what that thing is behind you right there? Did you make that as well?
Yes, I did. That is an axe I made for my dad.
That's
Father's Day.
That's pretty cool. Awesome. Your dad must be a heck of an awesome guy.
Sure is.
I'm positive he is. All right, so let's get back to it then. What type of hours would you be able to work? I know you're going to school and stuff like that. You might have sports. So basically tell me when you might be able to come in and work.
I'd be able to work Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, all ranging from 3:45 to 6:30.
Starting at 3:45,
yes.
Or all the way starting till 6:30.
No, starting at 3:45 and then going to 6:30.
That's pretty early. 6:30 being done with work.
6:30 p.m.
I get that. Do you have to be home at a certain?
Yes, I do have to be home. I still have homework and stuff I have to do.
Oh, that's perfect. That makes perfect sense. Good. Yeah, I thought maybe just sort of like I only want to work a couple hours and be done, but 3:45, 6:45. Okay. If we ever have the need, and I ask you about your homework or whatever, let's say we've got more stuff we got to clean up in the shop or whatever, or a big project coming. Is there a possibility that you'd be able to make that work?
Yes, I would just have to cut a little bit more of my time for homework out to stay later, which I can do easily.
Or readjust your priorities
Yes.
or whatever. Okay, great. Anything else with that?
I can also work every other weekend and whenever I am free.
Oh, super. That's great. So right now, you're still in high school, but like, what's next for you, man? What's next after high school and college? What do you want to do? What are your future plans, basically?
Well, when I grow up, I'd like to build a spaceship of sorts that can mine minerals from other planets and bring them back to Earth to be refined. I would like to do this because, one, I would be recognized as the inventor of the first space mining device. Two, I would further the human race to a Type 2 civilization. Type 2 civilization being able to harness all of the birth planet's resources.
Uh-huh.
Like solar and other stuff like that.
Okay, cool. All right.
And Type 2, that's a Type 1 civilization. A Type 2 would be starting to branch out to the solar system and gathering resources from there.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Well, that's ambitious. Sounds pretty darn neat.
And 3, it would be super fun and hard to work on this type of project, providing a nice, fun challenge.
Okay. So if you worked here for me, what do you think would determine a person's progress in my company? Like, if I was reviewing you a year from now, what would you say would be success? So if I laid out if I said at the beginning of the year, you need to have this, this, and this to be considered successful, what do you think those things might be?
Well, to be considered successful, I would describe someone as being able to accomplish a task that's assigned to them and or not giving up when said task that is assigned to them being hard.
Mm-hmm.
So, and in the opposite regard, I think that someone showing signs of laziness and complaining about simple tasks like taking a box of cans, per se, down from the top shelf is a good sign of laziness. So that's what you probably want to avoid.
Sure, that makes sense. So do you prefer, a lot of times people like to work by themselves. Sometimes they like to work in groups, on group projects. And quite frankly, sometimes even if you do like to work by yourself, sometimes you have to work with a group. But do you prefer working by yourself or in a group?
I'm very much an independent worker, and most of the time I prefer to work on my own to accomplish a task rather than doing things in a group. I will sometimes off-branch to ask for help, but that's about it.
And when if you're forced to work, we've got a big project and there's somebody else is leading that particular project.
Mm-hmm.
How would you, are you cool with that? How would you do it?
Yeah, I would be perfectly fine with that. It's no different from me working independently. I would try and see if I could work with a group leader to off-branch different tasks to each individual. And if those individuals want to work together, then they can. And if I have the opportunity to work by myself, I probably would.
Okay. What have you learned from some of the jobs that you've held or activities that you've been involved in?
I have learned that there can be usually many different types of the working class, but the most common two I find are the worker and the procrastinator. As I said previously, I don't like being in the presence of a procrastinator. I myself dislike being in the presence of a procrastinator, as I said, especially when it involves in something I need to get done. And I can overpass these procrastinators by working with them or working around them, so they're not that big of a problem, but they're still there.
That makes sense. Great. Do you think your extracurricular activities would be worth the time you devoted to them? So if you've done extracurricular activities, was it worth it?
Yes,
the time you devoted?
Oh, sorry.
No, it's all right. I apologize. The time you've devoted to them?
Yes, I've learned lots in my personal hobbies, that being blacksmithing, and my extracurricular activities in school, like the fabrication laboratory and metals. I have also learned a lot from browsing different forums and, sites on the internet.
Long night?
Yeah.
Okay. I get it. Keep going?
Like I said, I've learned lots from being in the fabrication laboratory and browsing different sites and forums on said topic of blacksmithing and metals.
Cool. I get that. Awesome. So if you had to define yourself in one word, what would it be? And then go ahead and explain why that one word is you.
Well, I like to describe myself as dedicated. I like to finish what I started and will complete a job/task to the best of my abilities.
Cool. Tell me something that happened in your life that made you feel proud of yourself.
Well, over the summer of 2016, I dedicated myself to weightlifting and becoming mentally and physically more stronger. And by that, I mean I would weightlift and bike to this high school where I would work out and become stronger with one of my friends named Jacob. Me and him did a pretty good job, I feel, working out. And sorry.
Go ahead. It's all right. Keep going.
I kind of stumbled on my words there. Sorry.
That's all right.
But it overall improved the way I act and work around others.
And you're proud of that.
Very much so.
Okay, among the jobs that you've held or classes that you've taken, which one did you feel like that you liked the most and why?
I feel the fab lab, or the fabrication laboratory. Sorry, I abbreviated it there. I love being able to build and make whatever I want, from a small table to a ballista. Ballista being, I'm guessing you know what that is.
Go ahead, explain.
Okay, a ballista is basically a giant crossbow of sorts, but it's more mechanized than...
And you made one of those?
Yes, I have.
That's outstanding. So you talked about some of the jobs that you like so far, and you talked about some of the classes that you liked. Sure?
Yeah. I'm not the best at spelling, but...
Yeah. Okay, so you're not the best at spelling. I get it. A lot of people aren't good at spelling. So what do you do to leverage? What do you do to work past that? Do you just give up, or do you?
No, I persevere by using autocorrect and just asking peers around me if this is spelled correctly or not.
Super. So you leverage technology.
Mm.
Awesome. All right. Um, so that's why you didn't like math. You struggle with that. And, okay. Sure. All right. Um, let's see here. What else do I need to ask you today? All right. What was the most mundane, dull? 3, 2, 1. So, of your jobs that you've really liked, which was the most interesting or stimulating part of the job you ever had or class that you've taken?
Uh, Probably the most fun class I've ever taken would be the fabrication laboratory. The best part is being able to learn new things that come in handy in subjects I like and love to do. I love doing hands-on work. It helps me learn probably 10 times faster.
Okay. What do you do in your spare time, like on weekends and whatnot,
Well,
or during evenings?
I love to relax and recoup after a long weekend in the comfort of my home. This also allows me to do things that I like to do and get caught up on things like homework, spending time with family, and doing personal projects.
Super, super, super. Think of the best boss or teacher you've ever had, without mentioning their name, of course, his or her name. State how he or she supervised you and why you didn't like it.
My favorite teacher was a smart and amazing teacher that made learning fun and hands-on. I had the most fun ever last school year when I was with the teacher in the fabrication laboratory that made me realize that I'm really good at building things and putting two and two together, spatial awareness and stuff like that.
Okay, this might be a hard question. So you told me about the best one. Give me an example of one that you didn't like working for, or a teacher that wasn't good for you.
I think the worst teacher is one that just forces themselves upon you and doesn't relate to the topic at hand. I also dislike a boss who is self-absorbed and can't loosen up a little.
Okay. Yep. Have you had any experience in supervising others, like where you're in charge? If yes, what have you found to be the best way to supervise people? If you haven't supervised people yet, what qualities do you think are important for supervising individuals or teams?
Well, I usually don't jump on the chance to be a boss or overlook people unless I know I'm absolutely certain that I know the topic at hand. Because I don't want to remove all doubt of me being a leader and providing false information that can be proven false. What I mean by that is that I like to stay a learner and learn from the teacher who already knows what they're talking about than me be a lackluster professional and then remove all doubt of me being.
So you've never supervised anybody?
No, I've supervised people before.
Tell me about that. Like, how did that work? And who were they? And what did you guys do?
Well, usually I will, if I know the topic at hand, I will.
Well, like, for example, you said when you're doing the forging and stuff during the weekends and whatnot, did you ever supervise anybody helping you with stuff?
Yes, I'll usually have the person who's helping me do some of the minimal jobs, like grabbing the thing out of the furnace and then placing it on the anvil so that I can hit it. And figure out which dimensions I wanted. Or sometimes quenching it.
Okay. And what do you think, like if you were that person, think about the type of jobs, the type of bosses you would like. Would you like a boss that only gave you menial tasks? Like you just explained, you said you only give these guys menial tasks. Would you like that?
Preferably not, but...
Do you want to maybe adjust your answer then?
Yes. What I mean by that is that if they've never done the task before, I will start them off with menial jobs, but then later excel them into higher skilled jobs.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Good, good, good. So it's not like you're going to have them doing junk jobs
No,
and then
no.
they'll just become bored, right?
No.
Okay, yeah, that's great. That's a great question, or that's a great answer. I appreciate the clarification. Well, geez, Mr. Berger, that is really all I have for you today. Do you have any specific questions for me about the job or anything else?
Yes, I'd like to know if I have the chance to get lots of hands-on learning.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, they'll be doing a lot of hands-on learning. You'll be watching the guys work and learning from them for sure. We may even have the opportunity to have other interns in here, and if you get the job, you'll be the first intern and you'll have to supervise them. So I kind of want to revisit that question again, how you would supervise younger interns coming in. Let's say you've been here for a year and now it's younger guys are coming in and you're like their mentor, let's say. How would you handle that?
Well, I would handle it like the way I said. I would first assess their skill level and see if they can handle higher level jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can't, I would start them off with the menial jobs and then again assess them. And if they can, I would allow them to do some of the higher skill jobs.
Perfect. Great. Well, Ms. Berger, I really appreciate your time. Thanks a lot. Have a great day, and we will be in contact.
All right, thank you.